Los Angeles, a sprawling metropolis nestled amidst the chaparral-covered hills of Southern California. A city known for its glamour and sunshine, attracting dreamers from all over the world, but also increasingly at the mercy of wildfires which rage uncontrollably. These infernos have become a terrifyingly frequent occurrence, leaving a trail of devastation and despair. Join us as we delve into the aftermath of the Los Angeles fires, exploring the human and environmental toll they leave behind. The most heart-wrenching consequence of any fire is the loss of human life. The impact of such a loss reverberates through families, communities, and even entire cities. Each person lost in a fire is not just a statistic but a beloved family member, a friend, a colleague, or a neighbor. Their absence leaves a void that can never truly be filled. Firefighters, those courageous individuals who run towards danger, often find themselves on the front lines, risking their lives. Their bravery and dedication are unparalleled as they work tirelessly to save others, often at great personal risk. These heroes face extreme conditions, battling not just the flames but also the smoke, heat, and collapsing structures. Sadly, many have paid the ultimate price. The loss of a firefighter is a profound tragedy, felt deeply by their families, colleagues, and the communities they served. Memorials and tributes stand as solemn reminders of their sacrifice and the dangers they face every day. Residents, caught in the path of rapidly advancing flames, sometimes find themselves with no escape. The speed at which these fires can spread is terrifying, leaving little time for people to gather their belongings or even alert their loved ones. The chaos and panic that ensue can be overwhelming. The speed and ferocity of these fires leave little time for reaction. In mere moments, a small spark can turn into a raging inferno, consuming everything in its path. The unpredictability of wildfires makes them especially dangerous, as they can change direction without warning, trapping those in their way. Even those who escape face perilous journeys through smoke-filled air. The thick, choking smoke can make it difficult to breathe and see, turning a desperate escape into a harrowing ordeal. Many evacuees are forced to leave behind their homes, pets, and cherished possessions, not knowing if they will ever see them again. For the families left behind, the grief is immeasurable. The loss of a loved one in such a sudden and violent manner is a trauma that leaves lasting scars. Communities come together to support those in mourning, offering comfort and solidarity in the face of such devastating loss. Each life lost represents a story untold, a future unwritten. The memories of those who perished live on in the hearts of those who knew them, serving as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring impact of their presence. Beyond the loss of life, the fires leave behind a legacy of injuries. Burns, ranging from minor to life-altering, are common. Many survivors face months of painful surgeries and rehabilitation. Smoke inhalation is a silent killer, with effects that may not be immediately apparent. The psychological trauma of living through a wildfire can be just as debilitating. Many survivors are haunted by the memories of that day. As the flames approach, fear washes over the city. Sirens wail, evacuation orders are issued, forcing residents to flee. The lucky ones find refuge with family or friends. Others seek shelter in makeshift evacuation centers, their lives upended. Finding temporary housing for thousands is a daunting task. The emotional toll on evacuees is immeasurable. For some, the evacuation is temporary. For others, it is permanent. Their homes reduced to ashes, they must start anew. The aftermath of a wildfire reveals a transformed landscape. Homes, businesses, and schools lie in smoldering ruins. Family heirlooms and everyday objects are gone, consumed by the inferno. Businesses, the lifeblood of the local economy, are gutted. Critical infrastructure is not spared, power lines topple, water systems are damaged, roads and bridges crumble, hindering emergency responders. The destruction represents a significant setback for communities. The road to recovery is long and arduous. While the human toll is undeniable, we must not forget the silent victims, the animals. The flames sweep across the landscape with terrifying speed. Countless creatures perish, and survivors emerge into a scorched landscape. The loss of habitat is devastating for endangered species. The fires disrupt the delicate balance of the ecosystem. Predators lose their prey, and prey animals lose vegetation. The loss of trees leads to increased soil erosion. The impact on wildlife is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of all living things. The fires leave behind more than just charred trees. They strip the land bare, leaving the soil vulnerable to erosion. The loss of vegetation sets the stage for environmental problems. With each rainfall, precious topsoil is washed away. The increased sediment load in waterways devastates aquatic ecosystems. The loss of soil increases the risk of landslides and mudslides. The process of soil erosion is a slow and insidious threat. The environmental consequences linger long after the flames have died down. The fires leave behind a toxic legacy, contaminating water sources and ecosystems. Heavy metals and chemicals are released into the environment, causing widespread damage. When rains come, these contaminants pollute water sources, spreading further. The once pristine waters are transformed into toxic brews, unfit for use. The contamination poses a serious threat to public health and safety. Wildlife, dependent on these water sources, are also at significant risk. The impact of water contamination is far-reaching and devastating. As the flames consume homes and forests, they release a dense plume of smoke. This smoke doesn't just vanish into the air, it lingers, spreading far and wide, affecting areas miles away from the source of the fire. The smoke carries with it a cocktail of harmful substances that can have severe impacts on both the environment and human health. The air becomes heavy with the acrid smell of burning wood and plastic. This pungent odor is more than just an unpleasant sensation. It signifies the presence of toxic chemicals released during the combustion process. These chemicals can include carbon monoxide, volatile organic compounds, and other hazardous pollutants. The smoke is a complex mixture of harmful gases and fine particles. These fine particles, often referred to as particulate matter, are tiny enough to be inhaled deep into the lungs. They can bypass the body's natural defenses and enter the bloodstream, leading to a range of health issues. Fine particulate matter, known as PM2.5, is of particular concern. These particles are less than 2.5 micrometers in diameter, about 30 times smaller than the width of a human hair. Because of their small size, they can penetrate deep into the respiratory system, reaching the alveoli where gas exchange occurs. These particles can penetrate deep into the lungs, causing respiratory problems. Short-term exposure can lead to symptoms such as coughing, throat irritation, and shortness of breath. Long-term exposure, however, can result in more serious conditions like chronic bronchitis, reduced lung function, and even cardiovascular diseases. Exposure to wildfire smoke can exacerbate existing conditions. For individuals with asthma or other respiratory diseases, the presence of smoke can trigger severe attacks and complications. Even healthy individuals can experience adverse effects, especially if they are exposed to high levels of smoke for extended periods. The elderly, children, and those with health conditions are particularly vulnerable. Their bodies are less able to cope with the stress caused by inhaling polluted air. Children, in particular, are at risk because their respiratory systems are still developing, making them more susceptible to the harmful effects of smoke. The health impacts of wildfire smoke are a serious public health concern. Communities must be prepared to respond to these events, providing support and resources to those affected. Public health officials play a crucial role in monitoring air quality, issuing warnings, and advising the public on how to protect themselves during wildfire events. The fires are fueled by a confluence of factors, including drought. Years of below-average rainfall have parched the landscape. The lack of moisture stresses plants, making them more flammable. The drought has depleted water sources, making firefighting more difficult. Reservoirs and lakes stand at critically low levels. The scarcity of water limits the effectiveness of firefighting efforts. The drought creates a vicious cycle, exacerbating wildfire conditions. Wind can be both a blessing and a curse. It has the power to bring life, carrying seeds to new places and spreading pollen to help plants grow. But in the wrong conditions, wind can become a force of destruction. It can fan the flames of a wildfire, transforming a small blaze into a raging inferno. A gentle breeze that cools us on a hot day can turn into a gust that spreads fire rapidly across dry landscapes. The Santa Ana winds are notorious for their role in fueling wildfires. Originating from high-pressure areas, these winds sweep down through the mountains and canyons of Southern California, gaining speed and intensity. These dry, downslope winds compress and warm, their humidity plummeting. As they descend, they dry out the already parched vegetation, making it even more susceptible to ignition. The dry air turns vegetation into highly flammable fuel. What was once green and lush becomes brittle and ready to burn at the slightest spark. The Santa Ana winds can reach speeds of up to 70 miles per hour. These powerful gusts can bend trees and scatter debris, creating hazardous conditions. The strong winds push the flames ahead, creating spot fires. These smaller fires can leap ahead of the main blaze, igniting new areas and making the wildfire even harder to control. The combination of dry vegetation, low humidity, and strong winds creates explosive fire growth. In these conditions, a wildfire can spread rapidly, consuming everything in its path, and posing a significant threat to both nature and human life. Human actions are often the initial spark that sets wildfires in motion. Accidental ignitions are common, often the result of seemingly innocuous activities. A spark from a lawnmower or a discarded cigarette can ignite dry vegetation. Downed power lines are another common cause of wildfires. Arson, the deliberate setting of fires, is a serious problem. The motives for arson vary, but the consequences are devastating. By exercising caution and following fire safety guidelines, we can reduce the number of wildfires. The increasing frequency and severity of wildfires are driven by climate change. Climate change is altering weather patterns, leading to hotter, drier conditions. These conditions create the perfect environment for wildfires to ignite and spread. As temperatures rise, evaporation rates increase, drying out vegetation. The warmer temperatures extend the wildfire season. Climate change is also leading to more frequent and intense droughts. The link between climate change and wildfires is undeniable. The fires serve as a stark warning of a future with more frequent wildfires. But amidst the devastation, there is hope. We have the knowledge and tools to mitigate wildfire risks. By creating defensible space and using fire-resistant materials, we can reduce the likelihood of wildfires. Addressing climate change is crucial to reducing wildfire risks. By transitioning to a clean energy economy, we can create a safer future. By working together, we can protect our communities and the environment.